That's me, up there.
Are you going to want that? Or
I'll just use this, it's fine. Yeah. That's me. No, it's not. This is me. I use both sides of my business card. I trimmed that down to fit into the PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to talk for 10 minutes, then we got a 20-minute break. Then please do come back. We have the co-founder and co-CTO of HashiCorp, which is like Terraform and all that really cool stuff. So you definitely want to come back for that. I'm just going to quickly talk about that imperative declarative thing that we've already heard that term a few times today, and how that applies to automation when CI/CD toolchains are creeping into infrastructure. So they've always been based around software deployments and kind of deploying stacks, within containers or within web servers. But actually, to do the full job, it also needs to configure the infrastructure. So for example, security policies and all these other things, because otherwise you just get to a point and you're in a queue again, waiting for your go live deployment. It doesn't work. To do this whole nuke and pave and fast time to market, it's got to be inclusive of everything. Now there's some things that we've learned along the way, and I just want to share the good and the bad way to integrate with infrastructure, because we've definitely seen a lot of both. So how many people in this room, you all know, you've heard of F5? We kind of here in Seattle, it's hard not to notice stuff. Did everyone see the news coverage in the local papers? We're moving to F5 Tower in a couple of years. Massive skyrise thing and everything. Okay, so let's talk about declarative interfaces. Anyone know what a declarative interface is? Anyone want to have a shot at just explaining that compared to an imperative one? Sandwich making versus Big Mac meals. This is the best way to think about it, I think. Does that make more sense or less sense now?
Say Hamilton, get it over.
So building appropriate abstraction levels. When you want to do deployments, you can start at this level, lumberyard. Every feature and function that requires that sign-off to deployment needs to be done every time. That's a little hard to manage. But then we got at the other end, we've got the finished house. There's no choices, there's no options. Well, that's bad as well, because every application's a unique snowflake and it doesn't all just fit into the same model. So actually what you want is some kind of model you can reference and tweak. This is what we mean by declarative interfaces. You don't hammer in the entire configuration every single time, because some of these infrastructure technologies are extremely complicated. Who in this room has configured a big IP device? It has lots of knobs and buttons, doesn't it? We joke that we have all of the knobs and buttons. There are many. We put many knobs and buttons in because people wanted many features. So, we thought we're doing the right thing. The problem is now, it's only the people that are experts on big IP who know how to do that deployment. So when you've got teams and teams of people building now, rolling out things more and more frequently, then the pressure on that small subset of people to keep up with those configurations, it's just out of control. So how do we get that configuration of the big IP device into the deployment toolchain? Some people have tried to do this, and they set out, and you can see great examples of this with some of the orchestration tools. They'll create like a module or a plugin, and they set out with good intentions, and actually what they end up with is just add node or remove node. What about the security policies? What about all those other things that you bought? Where is that in there? And they give up after that because they realize, once again, we have all of the knobs and buttons. There's just so much work to do. So why am I talking about sandwiches and burgers? Has anyone here got children? Or at least know people who have children? Ask them to make a sandwich. Or do you want to give them a knife? I mean, if they're young, that could be really dangerous and shorten your life expectancy. But when you think about the process of making a sandwich or opening a jar, just the basic motor skills of knowing that, there are all these steps along the way that we take for granted. Now, when you apply this to the real world, though, I like my sandwich one way. It is definitely not the way you will like your sandwiches. Things like cutting it down the center or triangles. That's almost a philosophical debate right there, how people feel so strongly about that. So with every single change, Oh, I don't like butter, I like margarine because I need my hydrogenated fats that make me sick. Or maybe I like, I want wheat or whole grain or whatever. Every single change is a fork in an automation process. How could you ever get successful by going down that path? So, that's enough on sandwiches. Everyone hungry again now? Shouldn't have let you guys down with the lack of cake rumor. So lowering domain-specific knowledge into the tool chain, that is the key. That is the route to success here. Super NetOps, you're going to see that word more and more and more. In fact, if you Google Super NetOps, you're going to see me yapping on YouTube at some point. I have a YouTube channel all about Super NetOps, the evolved NetOps persona, getting off the GUI and the CLI and into just doing everything via declarative REST interfaces. This is my job. I work in the product development team at F5, and I try and turn everything into just one JSON payload. That is the mission. We're doing pretty good at it, actually. So, the declarative model on the other side. Big Mac meals. What was clever about that as far as a business goes? Well, they took all your choices away. Do you have to tell them how to make that? In fact, will they let you tell them how to make it? No, but they can scale that. You can pick your drink, just like I can say, this app, we're going to offload encryption. That's it. I am not going to get in there, though, and start actually tweaking every single header that's going to get injected. You don't give that to the application deployment team. That's the abstraction that we're after. So this is really the theme of what I just wanted to talk about in this short break is make sure you don't get down that path of doing imperative integrations, not just with F5, but with any technologies. You get locked into a way of doing things now that you won't be able to get out of later. Or worse, you upgrade one of those devices, any of those devices, and new features have been added. I have to revisit my entire tool chain. You want templates, service templates. That's the way you want to interface to these technologies. Good vendors have declarative interfaces for you to integrate to, that you just send a declaration of what I want as an end result. And that abstraction takes care of it. And here's an example of what that looks like. I work in a product development team, so ladder diagrams are my love. I took the names out of the actual process so that I wouldn't have to go into detail to explain what bit of code I was working on. But we took something, this was actually 64 different interactions, and we turned that into just one. Go do this, and actually come back when it's all finished, and just reply back to the tool chain. Here's a webhook. Just tell it when you'll finish that. That is a much healthier way to integrate, because then your people with big IP domain expertise can just keep working behind the declarative interface. They're not breaking the tool chain. They're not altering the way the tool chain works. Does it sound like a good idea, or am I just a crazy guy in a cool t-shirt? I don't have time for a Q&A, so I'm going to answer the question that you're all going to ask. Redbubble.com is where I got the t-shirt. There is also a Red Bull version that I have, but I can't wear two t-shirts and I had to choose. So, if you want to know more about this kind of stuff, again, Super NetOps. Google that. I keep this YouTube channel going all the time. I've interviewed Jason Han, who wrote the O'Reilly book on DevOps. We've got people who have built very big cloud platforms on there. I basically have conversations on every 2 weeks with people who are going through this pain, and we just talk about what they do differently. It's not that technical, some demos, but mostly it's just about avoiding the huge nightmares, like anyone who's tried to do an imperative integration and ends up doing 10% of the job and needing a long vacation at the end of it. That was, oh no. Thank you. Come back at 3 o'clock, please.